While I was almost torn apart by a stray dog, my girlfriend was shopping at a fancy boutique with her coworker. She saw me, saw the blood and everything, but the worst part? She didn't lift a finger to help me. My own girlfriend just leaned in close to that guy and whispered something while looking at me. That look, as if I disgusted her. No way. A dog as cute as that would never bite him. I bet he's just faking it to get my attention. Come on, don't waste your time on him. Later that night, I found a half-used box of condoms beside our bed. Cheese-flavored, the one smell I can't stand. At that moment, something inside me just snapped. Calmly, I picked up my phone and sent a message to an old friend. I'm interested in that project. Let's talk when you can. The second I hit send, my phone started ringing. Man, this is amazing. I swear, with you on the team, our target will go public in no time. Believe me, it's been tough without you these past years. I exchanged a few words with him and hung up. Soon after, Meredy stumbled through the door. Her breath reeked of alcohol, her cheeks were flushed, and there was pleasure in her eyes and in the corners of her lips. Interesting. When we met, she wouldn't even touch alcohol. I remember the candlelit dinners on our romantic anniversaries, but she always declined the wine, saying she was allergic, leaving me to drink alone. Ever since Devon joined the company, Meredy had been coming home drunk almost every night. Handal's still awake. Heat up a cup of milk for me, she slurred, eyes glued to her phone, barking orders at me as usual. It didn't take a genius to guess she was texting Devon. Devon was a brilliant programmer she had hired. He had quickly solved 2 major technical issues for the company. On top of that, he had a kind personality and was good-looking. No wonder my girlfriend was practically glued to him. The milk's expired, I said casually, not even checking. Before I could say anything else, she scrunched up her nose, pouted like a little girl, kicked off her shoes, and collapsed onto the couch with a sigh. Ugh, here you go again, Handal, seriously. What's the big deal if I go out with my employees? For God's sake, you need to stop being so passive-aggressive. Listen, Devon is an asset, okay? And I'm his boss, remember? Of course, I have to give him attention. Do you think I enjoy going out all the time? I do this for us. Oh, and didn't you study computer science too? If you had half of Devon's skills, I wouldn't have to spend my days faking smiles for him. She leaned back on the couch, eyes half closed, mumbling distractedly. She seemed to have forgotten that I graduated at the top of my class, that my senior project was what helped her launch her tech company and turn it into an industry leader. I had literally put my career on hold for years to support her. And now, how had I become nothing but a useless burden in her eyes? But I didn't argue. I just went to the office and started organizing my files for the job transition. She must have waited for a while, realizing I wasn't coming to run her bath, so she begrudgingly got up, stumbled to where I was, and leaned against me. The smell of smoke was so strong that I held my breath and stepped away. It was the scent of Devon's favorite cigarette brand. Come on, babe, don't be like that. Let's take a bath and go to bed. I'll even wear that little dress you like. Her tone was too sweet, and I knew that tone well. It was the one she used when she felt guilty. Of course, she had forgotten that I had been bitten by a dog that morning. The wound still burned, and I wasn't supposed to get it wet at all. It felt like a hellhound. That thing had sunk its teeth deep into my leg and wouldn't let go. My blood had literally poured onto the street. The doctor had to give me a rabies shot and warned me that I had lost part of my leg's motor function, which meant I was screwed. No more intense physical activity for me, no sports. After treating me, the doctor shook his head and said, "I'm sorry. If you had come in half an hour earlier, maybe we could have saved the nerves." Realizing I wasn't in the mood, Meredy put her pride aside for once. She took my hand and placed it on her chest, but I pulled away, and she looked humiliated. Just as she was about to lose her patience, her phone lit up, playing that song, DB Love of My Life, her special ringtone for Devon. I had already told Meredy how much that bothered me, but she just ignored me, calling me narrow-minded. What could I do besides let it go or try to ignore it? Every time that damn ringtone played, it was like nails on a chalkboard in my mind. Smiling, Meredy pushed past me and went back to the bedroom, swaying her hips slightly. Later, I opened the company group chat and saw a message from Devon, sent just a minute ago. "I think you fell asleep before I could say goodnight, President Weber." That bastard even added a bunch of colorful hearts and shy emojis that made my stomach turn. Then came a screenshot. My girlfriend sleeping on a video call with Devon, smiling. The proof of her betrayal was right in front of me, and I felt like I had been punched in the gut. To make things worse, our idiot colleagues joined in, and the group chat quickly exploded with responses like, "Oh, what a perfect couple. The president and her inseparable right-hand man. Devon, what did you do to the boss? She can't stop smiling lately." Each notification hit me like a punch to the stomach. They were mocking me, and worse, celebrating the betrayal. The most infuriating part was that my own girlfriend was there, sharing intimacy with another man while I was treated like a joke that no one took seriously. I shut my phone with force, nearly cracking the screen, and stood up. The air felt heavy, every breath an effort. I went to the office, grabbed my suitcase again, packed all my things, and erased any trace that I had ever lived there. I knew Meredy would only wake up when it was convenient for her, and I had no intention of waiting for that moment. I left the apartment like a thief in the night, but the feeling that accompanied me wasn't one of defeat, it was liberation. No goodbyes, no arguments, just silence. I went straight to the hotel, where I rented a room indefinitely. As I settled onto the hard, cold mattress, a decision solidified in my mind. I wouldn't just move on, I would make sure to thrive. The following weeks were intense. I worked with absolute focus on the new project, reconnecting with that trusted friend and investing every ounce of energy I had left. Slowly, the rewards began to appear. Investors reached out, negotiations advanced, and soon, the market was watching our debut. On the day our company was officially announced in the media, I received another call from Meredy. I answered, just to hear the regret and confusion in her voice. "You really left?" Her voice was a whisper, as if saying the words was difficult. "I did," I replied calmly, without a trace of emotion. She took a deep breath, as if gathering the courage to continue. "Handal, Devon dumped me. He said he doesn't want anything serious. You were right about him." I smiled to myself. Her betrayal had backfired. Devon had used Meredy just as she had used me, and now she was alone. Poetic justice had been served without me lifting a finger. "I'm sorry to hear that, Meredy." My voice was empty, but my heart was at peace. "Please, come back home. We can start over. I've changed. Handal. I swear." There was desperation in her tone, as if she had finally realized the value of what she had lost. I stayed silent for a moment. Maybe someone else would be tempted to give her a second chance. Maybe someone still loved her enough to overlook everything and return. But I wasn't that person anymore. "I've already moved on, Meredy. You should do the same." And I hung up. But just as I set my phone on the table and prepared to get back to work, an unexpected message popped up on the screen. "You really think it's over just like that, Handal?" It was from an unknown number, but I didn't need to be a genius to know who was behind it. Devon. He wasn't satisfied with what he had done and seemed determined to keep playing his games. A wave of anger ran down my spine, but I controlled it. I wouldn't fall for his provocations. Still, something told me that Devon wouldn't just disappear. He was the kind of person who liked to win at any cost, and now that I had something he wanted, success, respect, and perhaps silent revenge, he wouldn't back down easily. I embraced the discomfort of that intuition. If there was one thing I had learned over the past months, it was that I needed to stay one step ahead. Devon wasn't just a casual rival. He was a threat. And people like him only understand one language: power. I opened my laptop and started outlining a plan. If Devon wanted war, he would get one. But this time, I would be prepared to win on every level. I wouldn't leave loose ends. There would be no mercy. As I worked, one last thought crossed my mind. Meredy wasn't entirely out of my life yet. Not while Devon was still around. He was still involved with her, directly or indirectly, and I knew she would try to pull me back into that toxic web. Maybe out of regret, maybe out of revenge. The battle wasn't over, but now I was in control. The days following Devon's message were eerily quiet, but I knew it was just the beginning of something bigger. Men like him don't disappear. They stay in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. But I wouldn't be caught off guard this time. If he wanted war, he would get one. And this time, I wouldn't just win. I would crush him and any trace of the influence he thought he had. My first move was to strengthen my contacts. I spent the next few weeks meeting with investors and securing strategic partnerships for the new company. Every deal I closed was another step towards solidifying our success. The strategy was clear. The stronger my company became, the less room Devon would have to breathe. And success came quickly. The new company became a market sensation. Within months, we were leading the industry. Reports highlighted my comeback, and former colleagues who had once ignored me now tried to reconnect. But I didn't need them. I never had. That's when Devon's first attempts began. He tried to sabotage one of our most important contracts by spreading rumors about fraud within the company. But I had already anticipated this. Before he could act, I had everything documented and secured. The investors didn't listen to him, and the project continued as planned. Meredy also tried to come back. At first, her messages were innocent, like, just wanted to know how you're doing. Then came the apologies. Handal, I'm sorry for everything. I was a different person back then. Please, let's talk. But I deleted every message without responding. With each of her attempts, I became stronger, more convinced that there was no place for people like her in my new life. Forgiveness was not an option. Moving forward without looking back was. Then came the meeting that would change everything. A group of influential shareholders that Devon had been trying to win over reached out to me. They knew about his sabotage attempts and preferred to invest in someone with credibility. We closed a deal that not only cemented our market leadership but also pushed Devon and his company to the brink of bankruptcy. The following week, his company announced a major financial crisis. Investors began pulling out, and employees abandoned ship. Within days, the news spread. Devon was finished. It didn't take long before he sought me out in person. He showed up at the lobby of my new headquarters, looking worn out and with his pride in shambles. He asked for a meeting, just to talk, claiming he needed help starting over. I made him wait for hours. When I finally saw him, he was sitting on the couch, looking defeated, not even attempting a smile. I sat across from him. Looks like the tide has turned, hasn't it, Devon? My voice was cold, devoid of sympathy. He tried to laugh, but the sound came out weak and uncomfortable. Handal, man, it doesn't have to be like this. We can work together. I made mistakes, okay? But you know how it is. Business is business, right? I slowly shook my head, pretending to consider his words. No, Devon. Business is about trust, and you broke it. I stood up, adjusted my watch, and with calculated calm, delivered my final words. There's no place for you here. Not in my life. Not in any market I'm in. Good luck somewhere else. He tried to say something, but I was already walking away. The security guard escorted him to the door, and that was the last time I ever saw Devon. Meredy was the next to fall. I heard from mutual friends that she had tried to regain control of the company, but her reputation was too tarnished. With no allies and no credibility, she was ultimately forced to sell the company to a competitor for a fraction of its original value. That's when she reached out to me one last time. She showed up at my office reception, disheveled and desperate. Please, Randall, give me a chance. I know I messed up. We can start over. I swear I've changed. Tears streamed down her face. I watched her in silence for a few moments. For years, I had let myself be deceived by those tears, but not anymore. I'm sorry, Meredy. There's nothing here for you anymore. You made your choice, and I made mine. Without another word, I turned away and let security escort her out. With Devon and Meredy out of the way, my life finally found its course. My company became a powerhouse in the market, expanding beyond my expectations. I had won, not just against them, but against the shadow they had cast over my life. With my success solidified, I began giving talks and mentoring others on overcoming adversity. My name became a reference in the industry, and the project that had started as an escape from pain turned into something far greater than I had ever imagined. Sometimes, on quiet nights, I allowed myself to think about the past. Not with regret, but with gratitude. Every betrayal, every downfall, and every humiliation had led me here, and today, I wouldn't trade any of it. The final piece of the puzzle was rediscovering my worth. Not in someone else, not in a relationship, but in myself. The comeback was never just about success or revenge. It was about finding peace. And that was the real victory: being free.